Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. My name's Connor if you're new. TLDR News EU. Original link top of the description. So I know that there was a summit between Putin and Trump in Alaska recently. And I don't know much about it, so I'm going to try and learn here. Please learn with me. I'm sure I'm going to have some questions. You guys are awesome at answering those. All your comments are always great. So let's learn, shall we?
On Monday, a high-profile European delegation met with Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House for talks about a peace deal in Ukraine. This followed Trump's meeting with Putin in Alaska last Friday, after which Trump ditched the idea of a ceasefire, suggested that Zelensky could end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to.
Yeah, just giving Russia what they want could possibly end the war, sure. What is your reasoning there,
and echoed
buddy?
Putin's opposition to Ukraine joining NATO. However, Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff also said that Russia had agreed to let the US and
So let Putin have what he wants. Don't join NATO so he could possibly invade again in the future. That isn't a resolution. That's giving up. More than giving up. It's giving up and not realizing. Okay.
Europe effectively offer Article 5-like language to cover a security guarantee.
I have to shut up, sorry.
Envoy Steve Witkoff also said that Russia had agreed to let the US and Europe effectively offer Article 5-like language to cover a security guarantee. In other words, allow the US to participate in a peacekeeping effort, which is something Europe has been pushing for months. So in this video, we'll recap the previous US and European peace plans, what's changed in Trump's latest proposal, and what we should watch going forward. Dive deeper into politics with our magazine, Too Long. Yes, we made a real physical magazine. In the latest issue,
Too Long,
we discuss if Europe can really defend itself, why people like Putin get away with it, and if we're observing the end of the American order. Find out more by clicking the link in the description. Let's start by recapping the progress so far. Back in February, Trump indicated that the US may not commit to a security guarantee for Ukraine, causing alarm in Europe. He invited Zelensky to Washington, D.C. to sign a deal that would have granted the US access to Ukrainian mineral resources, oil and gas without a US security guarantee in return. This meeting descended into an ugly confrontation, with Trump accusing Zelensky of being ungrateful for US support and gambling with World War III. European leaders were horrified and met in London.
I remember after I watched a video on that a few months ago, about the Trump-Zelensky meeting that was just said in the video, that one of the big things would be, for me, with how disgraceful he acted with Putin, a big answer would be, how is he going to meet with Putin? How is he going to treat Putin? Well, he treated Putin like a fellow monarch coming for a state visit and joked around and smiled and played footsie or whatever. And so, yeah, that wasn't great.
For emergency War III. European leaders were horrified and met in London for emergency talks, which produced the idea of a coalition of the willing. This is a multinational security backstop for Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire or peace deal, which would involve peacekeeping troops stationed on the ground in Ukraine, fighter jets patrolling the skies, naval vessels clearing landmines in the Black Sea, and potentially military experts and engineers being sent to Ukraine. In the meantime, a 30-day ceasefire proposal tabled by the US in March failed after Russia watered it down from a full ceasefire to a ceasefire limited to energy infrastructure and the Black Sea. And then both sides accused the other of breaching it. In May and June, Russia and Ukraine held several rounds of direct peace talks in Istanbul, which led to an agreed prisoner exchange, but failed to lead to a peace deal. Then last Friday, Trump warmly hosted Putin in Alaska. He spoke of their fantastic relationship and giving their meeting 10 out of 10 in a Fox News interview, and claiming that they were pretty close to a deal on Ukraine. However, no ceasefire or sanctions were announced, and Trump endorsed Putin's long-standing call for a direct peace agreement without a ceasefire. A delegation of European leaders then travelled to Washington, D.C. to push back and gain clarity on the US's position. But what's changed in Trump's peace plan since the Alaska summit? Well, as we see it, there were at least 3 notable shifts. Firstly, the US dropping a ceasefire. Secondly, the US's apparent openness to offering a security guarantee for Ukraine. And thirdly, the proposal of land swaps. Trump's ditching of a ceasefire is the bit that's worried Europe most. Until just several weeks before the Alaska summit, Trump had repeated his demand for a ceasefire, and in May even threatened further sanctions if it wasn't respected. But on Saturday, after meeting Putin, Trump posted on Truth Social, saying the best solution was, quote, to go directly to a peace agreement, which would end the war, and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which oftentimes do not hold up. This aligned with Putin's position, as there's little incentive for Putin to agree to a ceasefire while Russia maintains the upper hand on the battlefield. And Trump also repeated Putin's other arguments, ruling out Ukraine joining NATO and emphasizing that there's no chance of returning Crimea. At the talks on Monday, European leaders, who fear that aiming for a full deal without a ceasefire would allow Russia to maintain pressure on Ukraine's front line and ultimately advance further, reiterated the need for a ceasefire. With German Chancellor Friedrich Merz saying, I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that and let's try to put pressure on Russia. European leaders...
Wait, so is Trump saying that he wants an end to the war, not a ceasefire? So a ceasefire being a temporary hold? Because saying that you just don't want a ceasefire sounds like you are okay with the war continuing. So what is the game he's playing?
Reportedly hoping to push talks in a direction that Putin will be forced to reject, thereby annoying Trump and raising the possibility on Russia. European leaders are reportedly hoping to push talks in a direction that Putin will be forced to reject, thereby annoying Trump and raising the possibility of stronger US sanctions. In more optimistic news for Ukraine, though, the US now appears keen to offer Ukraine a security guarantee similar to NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Clause, something Putin...
See, that's what confused me, because how can you have a security guarantee without a ceasefire unless you think that you want an end to the war and not a ceasefire? But can't you have a temporary ceasefire while you conduct it? I'm confused there.
Reportedly a guarantee similar to NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Clause, something Putin reportedly agreed to in Alaska. The European delegation on Monday aimed to push Trump for further details, and although Trump didn't make any specific promises, he didn't rule out putting American forces in Ukraine either, and said during his Oval Office meeting with Zelensky, "We will give them very good protection." This marks a notable shift from their meeting in February, when Trump refused to offer any US security guarantee for Ukraine, though it's still unclear what the US will commit to. The next part of Trump's new peace plan is the idea of land swaps. This would likely involve asking Ukraine to give up territory in the Donbass, which comprises the Donetsk and Luhansk region, as per Putin's demand, while Russia will freeze the rest of the front line in return.
I thought he was going to say, while Russia gives back this area. So not Crimea, not Luhansk, not Donetsk. And it seems like parts of Donetsk in Ukrainian control would actually go there in return for Russia giving everything north of Crimea and west of Donetsk back to Ukraine. But no, you're recognizing these two so these can be later recognized.
But Zelensky is obviously likely to resist any territorial concessions, especially if land Russia doesn't already control, as it would validate Putin's invasion and encourage him to push further into Ukraine.
Yeah, the only way I can see that working is if Putin gives back this area. If not, it just seems like he's like, okay, give me this part, and then we continue the war. It's like...
And while US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that Russia might also have to give up some territory in Ukraine, there were concerns that if Ukraine were to cede its so-called fortress belt in the Donbass, it could just be used by Russia as a launchpad for further aggression. So, what's likely to happen next? Well, there's now talk of arranging a bilateral meeting between Putin and Zelensky, which would be the first time the two leaders have met since Putin invaded Ukraine in 2022, followed by a trilateral meeting involving Trump. During the summit on Monday, Trump claimed that Putin, quote, wants to make a deal for me, and later said on Truth Social that he'd called Putin to begin organising talks. In response, a Kremlin spokesperson said that it was worthwhile to explore the possibility of raising the level of representatives from the Russian and Ukrainian delegations.
I watched much of the meeting off the planes with Vladimir Putin, and then them getting in the car, and then them talking with each other in front of cameras. And Putin looked like a kid in the candy shop. Like, he looked very happy the entire time.
Ability of raising the level of representatives from the Russian and Ukrainian delegations in negotiations. Said that it was worthwhile to explore the possibility of raising the level of representatives from the Russian and Ukrainian delegations in negotiations. The other thing to watch is whether Ukraine will hold elections in the next few months, which Russia would almost certainly try to influence. For context, there were rumours of possible elections in Ukraine around April, after Zelensky reportedly held a meeting telling his team to be ready for a vote after a potential ceasefire. In March, the leader of Ukraine's largest opposition party, Petro Poroshenko, predicted that elections could happen any time from August to October, but also argues that they shouldn't take place until peace has been established.
Is this guy pro-Russia? I forget. Imagine the election ending in a guy that's kind of pro-Russia, even if there is a ceasefire or a stop.
When asked by a reporter in the Oval Office whether he'd hold elections, Zelensky said yes, in safe circumstances. Zelensky likely knows that any election after a peace deal would act as a referendum on his leadership. And
Right. What country ever during wartime, not just wartime, but with your own country's territory, would ever have an election? It doesn't happen. Of course, you wait till after.
Terms of whatever deal he strikes. It's safe to say that if you're invested in topics such as these, then you're also passionate about challenging yourself through online learning.
Upcoming sponsor, guys. This is a great video. Of course, I'm going to watch through the video from TLDR News EU. It's a great video.
Well,
make sure if you watch this with me, keep me company, and you enjoy what the sponsor is, the advertisement, whatever. Just make sure to use the links and promo codes from TLDR News EU. Original link top of the description.
To help you with that, our sponsor this week, Brilliant, are experts at pushing your learning to the next level. That's because Brilliant is an incredibly thorough learning platform designed to be uniquely effective in how you build skills every day. Their vast library of topics, from science to AI, all feature a perfect mix of engaging problems, competitive features, and daily encouragement that keeps you motivated and on track. Brilliant helps build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not just memorizing. So, while you're building real knowledge on specific topics, you'll also be becoming a better thinker. For example, if you're looking to build your mathematical intuition, Brilliant is the best place to go. Their newly updated maths courses focus on the most useful, applicable maths concepts, so you never feel like you're wasting your time. You'll start at the perfect level and work your way up through interactive challenges that bring abstract concepts to life. Whether you're at home or on the go, you can level up your math skills wherever you are. To start your learning journey and try Brilliant for free, visit brilliant.org/TLDR, scan the QR code on screen, or you can click the link in the description. By doing so, you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription, and they'll know that you came from us, which...
That's important. The promo codes for any channel I watch, or anything you watch, they're not just for the discount. It also, I'm sure, is that it's a way of the sponsor being able to analyze their data and see how much whoever they're sponsoring is bringing in customers, and this tells them. So even if you don't care about the discount, which you should, please use the code.
Really helps us out.
It's a great video. Clearly a lot of stuff I'm no expert on. Okay, I'm not an expert on anything, but there are certain things I really love learning about, and this topic is certainly one of them. This genre. So yeah, great video. It seems like the way Trump treated it seems like the way that Trump treats Zelensky and the way Trump treats Putin should be the opposite, you know? But unfortunately, they're not. Love y'all. Hope we're all doing well. If not, chin up. You'll be good soon. Emotions are fickle, my friend. And I hope I'll see you guys next time, and any of your comments are always great. Bye, guys.